In case you missed that engagement with some members of the media, let's get you more detail from Newzroom Africa's senior reporter Ziyanda Ngcobo, who was at that briefing posing a number of questions to the president. Ziyanda, a rather taxed president every now and again saying, "I'm talking too much," would not be drawn to comment on the issue that is literally on everybody's lips, and that is the robbery at the Phala Phala farm.
And you know what, Dudu, I think the president is not going to stop getting those questions, regardless of how spent or taxed he may be. And in fact, one of the journalists said, this is just not going to go away. And there's a school of thought that says the more he tries to avoid actually giving answers, is the more then he actually gives a space and a vacuum to have more questions and his political opponents to actually lead the narrative. And, you know, him really deferring everything to due process, one wonders how South Africans will respond to that, especially since public disclosure of what is an actual fact does not necessarily mean you would betray an investigation. So, you know, if for an example, according to your understanding, 100,000 rand and not $4 million, as Arthur Fraser says, was taken from the Phala Phala farm in Limpopo, you can also disclose that. Just to defer things to due process, as we've already seen in Parliament today, has seen chaotic scenes unfolding when he was supposed to respond to his presidency budget vote. So it's not going to go away. And one wonders then how long then this investigation will take for us as South Africans to finally get to the bottom of what's now been dubbed the farm gate, and to also be able to move on in light of the fact that this is also a conference year, and the president has already alluded to the fact that this forms part of a larger political agenda.
Ziyanda, I do want to pick up on a question that you asked the president, especially in light of the suspension of the public protector, Busisiwe Mkhwebane. And I do want to apologize to our viewers because a little bit earlier on I mentioned the previous public protector, a slip of the tongue. I apologize there for that. But you asked about the timing of the suspension of the public protector. What did the president tell you?
You know, so the question I asked was, when it came to timing, was premised on two things. The one is that the suspension of Busisiwe Mkhwebane came a day or two after she'd already indicated that she'd received a complaint from the African Transformation Movement and that she'd be investigating, launching her own probe into what happened at Phala Phala farm. But secondly, you know, the president, being a process man, as I'd already put it to him, he usually waits for processes and procedures to unfold before making his move, and yet there was still a pending judgment in relation to the impeachment process to take place in Parliament regarding the fitness of Busisiwe Mkhwebane to hold office, and that he suspends her a day before this judgment is handed down, and it gave the perception that he may either have known something about what would come out of, you know, that judgment, which also gives credence, of course, then to this theory, and in fact an accusation that Mkhwebane has lodged against the president that he's part of judicial capture. So the president says, look, this matter should be viewed as in the context of it's been a long back and forth between himself and the public protector. It was unbeknownst to him when this judgment would be handed down. It just so happened then that judgment this morning was handed down after he'd made a decision to suspend her, but he's given and sent her a 9-page letter outlining, responding to also her reasons as to why then he shouldn't suspend her, as he's empowered to do so according to Section 194 of the Constitution. So he says, even when if there are concerns, I should say, around the probe being able to continue, he says Busisiwe Mkhwebane is not the entire, public protector's office. The deputy public protector could still continue and lead those investigations. And so, insofar as having Mkhwebane really suspended at this point in time, will have no bearing then on those investigations into what happened on the 9th of February at his Phala Phala farm in 2020.
Ziyanda Ngcobo, Newzroom Africa's senior politics reporter, thank you very much for that update. We'll hear from you a little bit later on.